Checking the hair, checking the hair. Get on Facebook. See if I can share to these groups. Let me see here. Good morning. Oh, here we go. How are you guys? What's going on, guys? Sorry, I'm sharing to groups really quick. I hope you guys had a good evening. I'm good, Amber. Thank you. Good morning, Kristen Ravello. I would have liked to have slept a little bit more. I don't know why I'm getting up at like 5 in the morning, but it's still sort of happening, so it's weird. It's okay, because I went to bed late last night. I stayed up till like midnight, which is not normal for me lately, but I was up late last night just screwing around watching the new series, the new season of Black Mirror on Netflix. I don't know if you guys know that show. It's really good, and the first episode was really good. Something Vipers, Fighting Vipers. It was very cool how they did it. It was all about these two men having sex in a video game that were best friends. And I love that they were African American men, which is like sort of a taboo subject. It was very cool how they did the episode. You should check it out if you don't know the show. It's a very cool show. So that's all shared out to groups. Yeah, you should see it, Amber. It's an interesting show. It's Jesus showed up to... I know Jesus has not showed up to eat bananas, and I check. I do check where we put him to see if there's been a hole that's been dug up or anything. You know, and I also check where I found him. Like maybe he's laying back there in the bushes, but he's not. So I think he did indeed die. I think that those... Excuse me, that's a little loud. I think that those... two gentlemen that helped me with him, they're pretty iguana aware, even though they may have been like sort of a little bit crackheady at best. All right, so let's look at the information. Let's look at the energy for today, which is June 11th, Tuesday, 2019. Let's bring it into present time, folks. Let's not think about the future. Let's not think about the past. Let's just think about today and the present moment, because that's really where we get to create from, right? After having said that, I'm going to take you a little bit into the past and ask you guys, did any of you guys have any brilliant moments yesterday? Did you have any opportunities to use the card that I gave you, which was brilliance, the Ace of Crystals, to use your mind, to think more brilliantly, to think outside the box, to understand that like how we approach things and all of that really does kind of tell us who we are and what we're about and what we can become and how we can create it and all of that sort of good stuff. So I hope you were able to make the best of that energy yesterday. I have a feeling this week's going to be really good. We'll see what today's card is. I could be completely wrong, but I have a feeling that just the underlying cards of this week feel very good to me. So I think that it's going to be a good week for us, unless, you know, some of us want to go completely off the rails and get stuck in our thoughts and stay in misery. So I posted that meme, I think, in the group about you can't You can't stay a miserable cow if you think positively, or something like that. It's funny to me. Anyways, let's bring it into present time. Let's all take a deep breath. June 11th, Tuesday, 2019. Hey, Dominguez in Victorville. Where's Victorville? I used to be in Marin County. I grew up in Marin County, California. Okay, let's bring it into present time. Let's ground ourselves in this moment, right now, wherever we are, and just be really conscious of where we are. Not necessarily, I mean, we can be conscious of how we feel. But sometimes our feelings is what pushes us right out of present time, right? Because we don't want to feel it, or we want to avoid it. So we think about the future, or we think about the past. It brings up shame, regret, fear, anxiety. Those are usually future feelings. The fear and anxiety and shame and regret are usually past energy feelings. So let's just kind of bring ourselves into the present moment of Tuesday, June 11th, 2019, and let's shuffle the cards. Didn't that feel nice, guys? I kind of felt that. I think you all came with me. I hope you did. Feels like this. Well, hold on. Let me get this third shuffle done really quick before I say anything. Okay, there was a sluggishness the last 2 days to the deck that I don't feel. I feel like that is sort of past. There's a little bit of resistance, but not a whole lot. So that's hopeful. It means that things are maybe picking up a little bit, which is interesting because we had that moon card on Sunday that's going to come midweek, which will be probably like maybe tomorrow at the, some of these cards will come earlier for some people. Some of them may come later. Some may not come at all, right? So because this is a broad reading for many people. That's the intention. But this is to give us a broad overview. So as we're looking at Sunday's weekly cards for the week, then we look at the dailies, which break down our energies for the day. But we also have to acknowledge those cards that were presented at the beginning of the week as being underlying these. So we had that Man of Cups, which is Surfer, and that is, oh, hi. It's the Brilliance card. We had that Man of Cups card, which is like the Surfer card, which is an emotional sort of like riding the waves, having a good time, enjoying the beauty of life, not getting too strung up, being aware that maybe we might be emotional, but not getting too stuck down in it. The Moon card is a little bit more deeper than that. She gets a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more introspective. It's associated with the sign of Pisces, so there's emotions there. There's all of those sort of things. There was, I think if you go back and watch Sunday's forecast, there's desires for partners, there's like sort of like introspection, maybe taking inventory of our lives, that sort of thing might go on this week. Now, yesterday we had that Brilliance card, right, which matched up with that Man of Cups Surfer card to me, as far as just keeping it light, keeping the brevity, keeping it happy and upbeat, especially in our mental space, in our mind and in our thoughts. And we would have opportunities to shine bright like a diamond. That's what I was saying in yesterday's video, because that card always makes me think of that Rihanna song. It's an explosion of crystals. If you haven't seen it, it's a beautiful card. Go look at the other video. But it gives us an opportunity to like use our minds to really be conscious of the thoughts that we're having and use them more in a brilliant manner, in a more powerful, empowered, sort of centered manner. Now, what I am going to say is, and we had a slower energy as we were moving into the week, right? In the shuffle felt a little bit heavier, a little bit slower. And I felt like that was giving us time to sort of maybe slow down and become more conscious, like check in with ourselves, see where we're at, what's going on, what are we thinking about? Where's our attention? Where's our intention? And those are important things to look at as we're going throughout our day. Because if we're not, we could be creating things we're not even aware about. And then we end up having to deal with them later. And we're like, what the fuck is this thing? I don't want this. So, this card today is the Four of Crystals. Again, a mind card, guys, and it's logic. But to me, logic is a good thing, right? Thinking logically, trying to stay grounded, that sort of thing. But to me, this card always sometimes feels like a little bit boxed in. And the reason why I say that, it's these four crystals sticking out, like drawing boundaries, like no, don't come too close. They also appear very sharp to me. So it might feel like we're being a little bit more sharp-minded, a little bit more critical, both of ourselves and others today, a little bit more boundary drawing. That's not necessarily a bad thing, But I want it to not limit us, because yesterday's card was this brilliance card, which was sort of like all out in the open, owning itself and being who it is. This card, the crystals are sort of coming forward too, but there's there's less crystals, right? So it says to me like we're maybe not feeling quite as free. We might be feeling a little bit repressed, either by work or by relationships or by whatever, that we have to sort of like draw boundaries or keep our safe space, so to speak. There's a defensiveness to this card that I feel like today. So if you find yourselves being defensive or a little bit on alert for situations that could be needing you to place boundaries in place, or be somewhat, I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but somewhat sort of, if you need to bite back in a way, try not to. I really don't think that's where you want to be, right? But this could be the mental card that's leading us into the midweek of the moon, where we're going to have to get more introspective. I also feel like these four crystals that are poking out to the sides almost feel like painful to me. Like maybe we're sort of using our logic of our mind to try and avoid dealing with some of our emotional pain, and that's some of that intuitive emotional stuff that's coming up in the moon, that's subconscious, that needs to come forward, right? And we want it to come forward, guys. We want to sort of sit with those things. We want to heal them. We want to acknowledge them. We want to no longer run from them. Does that make sense? And so this card to me feels like our logical mind might be telling us, hey, Vera Cahill, how are you? Hey, Linda Rose Massa, thanks for tuning in from Vegas. This card might be telling us a little bit about, like our mind telling us, no, logically, you don't want to feel this stuff. It's going to be, nope, draw a boundary around that. Don't get too much into your feelings. Don't keep it light, keep it great. And that's a good idea, right? I do think keeping it light and keeping it great is a good idea. But you don't want to do that to the detriment of completely all-out avoiding something, right? And so I think that if we look at this card, it does tell us we have strength. We have the right to draw boundaries. We have the strength to protect ourselves. Those are all good things, right? But we also have the strength in limiting ourselves too, with our own logic or with our own minds. And that would be the downside to this card, is being almost maybe too logical and not allowing yourself to have any emotion or any sort of other aspect than your mind running the show. Okay? So there's the mental self, the emotional self, the spiritual self. They all kind of need to work together, right? If we're working from this logic card, these four crystals pointing out in the four directions feel like they're drawing a boundary and going, no, it's just me, like Big X, like, no, I'm running the show. The mind is. Let me do it. And that's great. It's good to be logical, and it's good to be grounded, but I feel like this card could have the potential for some of us, not all of us, but for some of us, to sort of box us into a corner or create avoidance on some level. So we don't want to do that, all right? So just be mindful of that today. Definitely stay logical. Use your mind. Your mind's a powerful tool, like I said in yesterday's card. It does have that brilliance aspect to it. But I do feel like don't allow your mind to box you into a corner. Does that make sense? Or make you sort of on the defensive from the get-go. Allow for some room for, a little bit of emotion to come in, because that moon card, she's a strong card. She's coming midweek. We're at Tuesday, so she might be here by tomorrow. She may even be showing up for some of you today. She might show up for some of you on Thursday. But she's about introspection. She's about your emotions. She's about feelings and bringing that to what's underneath the surface, bringing it to the surface. Sort of like representing, like, not our dark sides in the sense of a bad thing, but just the things we don't want to look at, right? And so I think that's why maybe these spikes are up, because we feel it coming on some level, and we maybe don't want to acknowledge it. So our mind kicks into high gear and goes, oh no, let's be extra logical, and let's put down the X's, and let's put out the crystals, and this isn't going to go too far. We're not going to allow this to happen. So just be mindful of that today, and try and go easy on yourself, especially mentally. Give yourself a break, and give those around you a break. It's good to be logical. It's good to have boundaries, but make sure that they're healthy boundaries and that they're not set in a way that would limit you or others. Does that make sense? I think that's good. I'll leave it there. So it'll be interesting to see what tomorrow's card is. I will see you guys tomorrow around this time. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Please share the video anywhere and everywhere you can. Those of you that are watching, hi Nikita, Emma. Those of you that are watching from YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. I am available for private readings. They're a lot more in-depth and detailed than these more broader group readings that I do every day for free. And you can always contact me via Facebook, via the business page, or however. That's it, I think, for today. All right, you guys, go on, have a great day. Know your mind is a powerful tool. Know that it's strong and protected, but know that it also can sometimes take it a little bit too far onto the protection side, and then we're not necessarily getting the protection. We're actually almost creating the things that we need to be protected from. Does that make sense? Hey, Michaela. Hi, on your lunch break, happy birthday. I saw your party pictures of how the house looked. It looked great. I heard you had fun. So happy birthday, honey. All right, so I am gonna go. Enjoy your lunch break, Michaela. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, no matter what the energy is, remember to have a blessed day. Like, just stay in what's good, right? And that's gonna lead you to more good. And always seek your highest good. That's what I pray for before these readings and before these videos, is to always have, the highest good, serve the highest purpose, that sort of thing. If you stay focused on that, the energy shifts, and we find ourselves, we may not even be dealing with this logic card today. We might be able to stay in that brilliance card from yesterday. It's still just energy that's just, we can tap back into. This is just like, where brilliance is up here, it's also a mind card. It's the Ace of Crystals. This is the Four of Crystals, right? So we've dropped a few into the lower chambers of our thoughts and minds and stuff in an effort to sort of protect ourselves or keep safe with the situations that we may not be feeling or liking or whatever. So let's, remember to raise that vibration a little bit, get ourselves into a better space, back up to that brilliance, or we might need to come down a little bit so that we can go to that place of the Moon card too. So try not to judge yourself too hard. Just let yourself be where you are in the present moment. Love yourself, validate yourself, and tune in tomorrow, and I will see you all then. All right, you guys. I'm glad you had a good birthday, Michaela. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.